The first truth we must let go of after 70 is the belief that there is nothing left to learn. It sounds simple, but it quietly drains the spirit. Many older people tell themselves, "I've lived long enough, I know enough, and there's nothing new under the sun." That single belief can shut the windows of the heart and dim the fire of curiosity. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us, the moment you think you already know is the very moment you stop truly living. To live with beginner's mind, to remain open, to remain curious, that is the secret of staying young, no matter the body's age. I remember meeting a woman named Lan, 76 years old, who suddenly decided to learn Mandarin Chinese. Her children laughed and said, "What's the point, Mom? You're not going to Beijing for business. You're not applying for a job." But she didn't care. Every morning she sat at the table, listening to a lesson on her phone, repeating new words slowly, smiling at the strange sounds in her mouth. 3 years later she traveled to Beijing. Standing before a temple gate, she asked for directions in Mandarin, and a monk answered her with warmth. She told me later, "That moment, I felt as if I had been reborn. It was not just learning a language. It was learning to live again." Her story teaches us something beautiful. When you choose to learn, you are not fighting against aging. You are expanding your soul. In the Buddhist scriptures, there is a story of an old monk who recited the same sutra every morning as though hearing it for the first time. A young novice once asked him, "Master, why do you keep reading the same words after so many years? Don't you know them by heart?" The monk smiled and replied, "Each morning, the words reveal a new shade of meaning, a new drop of truth. Only when the heart thinks it already knows everything does the scripture become empty." That is a lesson we often forget. Life reveals new layers only when we stay open to them. And it is not only sacred texts that can do this. A new recipe, a new song, a new way to move your body, or even a new conversation with someone younger. These can all become teachers if you remain willing to be a student. So, let me ask you gently as you listen now, what is something new you could learn today? Perhaps it is something small, like how to plant a flower you've never grown before, or how to use a feature on your phone that you've always ignored. Perhaps it is something more playful, like trying a new game with your grandchildren, or exploring a piece of music you've never heard. The form does not matter. What matters is that the spirit remains curious. Because curiosity is not a luxury of the young. It is the heartbeat of a soul that refuses to go numb. And when you choose to learn, you send a message not only to yourself, but to the generations after you. You show your children and grandchildren that growing older does not mean fading away. You show them that life remains abundant, that discovery is endless, and that joy is not locked in the past. I often tell people, the best inheritance you can give is not money or property, but the example of the spirit that never stops expanding. If these words resonate with you, I want to pause and invite you to take part in this journey with me. Share in the comments below. How old are you today, and what is one thing you still dream of learning? Don't be shy. Your words may inspire someone else who is listening right now. And if you feel this message carries value, please take a moment to press the like button. It may seem small, but each like helps this wisdom reach someone who might be waiting for it. And if you want to keep walking with me through the next 7 truths we will explore, then please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. In that way, you are not just listening passively. You are becoming part of a circle of people who support each other in living lighter, freer, and more awake. So, as we close this first truth, remember this. The greatest way to let go of at 70 is not the body's aches, not the clutter in your home, not even the regrets in your heart. The greatest weight is the belief that your time of learning is over. Because the moment you believe that, the world loses its color. And the moment you let it go, life becomes vivid again. Just imagine, what if tomorrow you discovered a new joy you had never tasted before? What if in your 70s, your 80s, or even your 90s, you were still growing, still blooming, still surprising yourself? That possibility is not a dream. It is a choice. And it begins the very moment you decide to learn again. So stay with me for the next truth, because each one is another door waiting to be opened. And as you walk through, you may just find that aging is not about decline, but about unveiling deeper layers of life you never had time to see before. But before we go on, let me know in the comments what beginner's step you are ready to take. Because when you share, you light the path for someone else. And together, we remind the world, no matter our age, we are still students of life. The second truth we must let go of after 70 is the belief that we must keep every relationship, no matter the cost of our peace. Many of us were raised to endure, to keep silent, to maintain ties even when they drain our spirit. We tell ourselves, it's family, so I must bear it, or it's my duty, I cannot walk away. But Buddhist wisdom whispers something different. Not every connection nourishes, and holding on to relationships that wound us is like clutching thorns and calling it love. At this stage of life, the most precious gift is peace of heart, and sometimes that peace requires release. I once met Anna, an 83-year-old woman who had attended Sunday family dinners for decades. Every week, she left those meals in tears. Her eldest son criticized her relentlessly, mocking her opinions, dismissing her dreams, making her feel small in her own skin. And yet she kept going, because that's what mothers are supposed to do. One Sunday, she made a different choice. Instead of forcing herself to sit at the table, she brewed jasmine tea and sat on her porch, watching the sky change color. She told me later, it was the first time in years I could breathe. That single act of letting go, of refusing to step into a toxic pattern, did not erase her love for her family. It simply restored her love for herself. Buddhism teaches us through countless parables that attachment without wisdom leads to suffering. A monk once told his disciple about a bamboo tree that lost a heavy branch in the storm. The disciple asked, "Does the tree grieve the branch?" The monk answered, "No, the tree does not cling. It grows new shoots toward the sun." In the same way, we must understand that not all relationships are meant to be carried forever. Some belong to earlier seasons of life. Some serve their purpose, and now it is time to release them with compassion. I know it is not easy. Many people say, but if I let go, who will I be? What will people say? Won't it mean I failed as a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a friend? But listen carefully. Letting go is not failure. It is an act of truth. It is acknowledging that your peace matters, that your well-being is not a debt owed to anyone. At 70, 80, 90, do you not deserve to live in harmony with your own heart? Do you not deserve mornings without dread, evenings without bitterness? So I ask you now, as you reflect, is there someone in your life whose presence consistently drains you, belittles you, or leaves you feeling less than you are? If the answer is yes, then maybe the teaching of this moment is clear. You can still hold love for them in your heart, but you do not have to sit at their table of suffering. Release does not mean hate. Release means you choose the air of freedom instead of the chains of obligation. And if this truth stirs something in you, I invite you to pause and write in the comments, what is one relationship or pattern you know you need to release, even just a little? You don't have to name names, just share the feeling. By doing so, you might give courage to someone else who is silently wrestling with the same burden. And as always, if this message speaks to you, please take a moment to like this video. It seems simple, but every like helps these words travel further, reaching hearts that may desperately need them. And if you want to walk with me through the next truths, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this journey is not meant to be walked alone. Anna's story is not unique. I have seen many elders spend their final years exhausted, not by illness, not by the body's decline, but by the constant storm of painful relationships they refuse to release. And I have also seen the opposite. Men and women who finally chose peace over performance, and in doing so, discovered a lightness they thought was lost forever. One man, Harold, in his late 70s, finally stopped answering calls from an old friend who only used him, never cared for him. "I thought it would make me lonely," he said, "but instead, I found time to sit quietly with myself. I discovered I wasn't lonely, I was free." So let us remember, holding on is not always love, and letting go is not always cruelty. Sometimes letting go is the highest form of compassion for them and for you, because when you protect your own peace, you teach others that peace is possible. You show your grandchildren, your community, that love does not mean self-destruction. It means respect for yourself, for your boundaries, for your spirit. And now, before we move on to the next truth, I want to ask you to carry one reflection with you tonight. Who or what am I still holding on to that no longer allows me to breathe? Sit with that question. Write it down. And if you feel moved, share below so we can all support one another. We will continue this journey in part 3, where we explore how releasing not only people but also clutter, physical and emotional, creates space for new life to enter. But for now, let this be your meditation. Peace is not a luxury. Peace is your birthright. And to claim it, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to let go. So if you haven't yet, remember to like, comment, share this message with a friend who might need it, and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the series. Together we are building a circle of wisdom where aging is not about losing, but about lightening the load. The third truth we must embrace after 70 is this: our lives cannot stay open if our hands are full of what no longer serves us. Just as relationships can weigh us down, so too can the objects, the memories, and even the unfinished dreams we pile around us. Many elders live surrounded by closets of forgotten clothes, stacks of papers, shelves of gifts they never liked but felt guilty discarding. Each item whispers, "Keep me, or you'll lose part of yourself." But the Buddha's wisdom reminds us that nothing is truly ours to keep, not possessions, not roles, not even this body. Clinging only creates heaviness. Releasing creates space. I remember visiting an elderly man named Robert, who lived alone after his wife passed. His house was filled to the brim. Boxes of old magazines, broken radios, faded clothes, jars without lids. He told me, "I can't throw them away. Each piece is a memory." But when he tried to move, he stumbled. When he tried to breathe, the dust suffocated him. Finally, one spring, with trembling hands, he began letting go. A cracked teapot went first, then a pile of yellowed newspapers. He cried as he placed them in the bin, not because the objects were gone, but because the weight in his chest was lifting. After months, he cleared a room where he could finally sit in the morning light. "I thought I was losing pieces of my life," he told me, "but instead, I discovered I was gaining space to live again." Clutter is not just physical, it is emotional, too. Many of us carry unspoken regrets, unsent letters, unfinished business. We tuck them away like old photographs in dusty drawers, hoping to forget, but they linger. They whisper in the night. They weigh us down in silence. True aging with grace is not only about emptying closets. It is about emptying the heart, to forgive where forgiveness is possible, to accept where it is not, to let old wounds breathe instead of festering. Only then can we step lightly into the final seasons of life. In Buddhist teaching, there is a parable of a traveler who came to a river. He built a raft from sticks and vines to cross safely. Once on the other side, he thought, "This raft saved me. I must carry it always." And so he hoisted the heavy raft onto his back. Soon his body bent, his steps slowed, his joy disappeared under the weight. The Buddha asked, was it wise for the traveler to cling to the raft, or to leave it behind once its purpose was fulfilled? In the same way, our possessions, our old identities, even our habits, they may have carried us once, but if they no longer serve us, why do we still carry them? I ask you now, what fills your home that no longer fills your heart? What burdens your shelves, your closets, your spirit? If you can name even one thing, then you have found the doorway to freedom. Start small. A single book, a single shirt, a single story you no longer need to repeat. Release it. Feel the air rushing where it once stood. And then take a moment to comment below. What is the first thing you will let go of? Sharing even one small step can inspire another soul to begin their own journey of release. And while you are here, if this message resonates, please give this video a like. It may seem like a small gesture, but every like helps carry these words farther, reaching someone else who is drowning in clutter, waiting for a reminder that freedom is possible. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Together, we are not just talking about aging. We are practicing freedom moment by moment, choice by choice. I want you to imagine this, an empty room in your heart, filled with morning light, open windows, gentle air. That room is waiting for you. But first, you must clear away the piles that block the sun. Imagine walking into that space. No clutter, no heaviness, just peace. What would you do there? Perhaps you would finally paint, or sing, or simply sit in silence, hearing your own breath. That room is not a dream. It is your birthright, waiting behind the things you are brave enough to release. I have seen elders who refuse to let go, trapped by rooms so full of yesterday they could not step into today. And I have seen elders who released, who gave away their possessions, who forgave old debts, who stopped chasing what was never theirs. Their eyes shone, their steps lightened, their laughter returned. Which path will you choose? As we close this part, let this be your meditation tonight. What clutter, physical, emotional, spiritual, am I still carrying? And what would it feel like to set it down? Reflect deeply, and if you feel moved, write your reflection in the comments. Let us walk this journey of release together. And before you leave, remember, like this video if it touched you, share with a friend who might need courage to let go, and subscribe so you can join me in part 4, where we will uncover another truth of aging, how to make peace with the body as it changes. These truths are not burdens. They are invitations to live with freedom, lightness, and joy, no matter our age. The fourth truth we must embrace after 70 is this: our bodies are not enemies to be fought, but companions to be honored. Too many of us spend our later years in a silent battle with wrinkles, aches, and fading strength. We look in the mirror and whisper, "Where did my youth go?" We watch the young walk quickly, laugh loudly, and we ache with both envy and grief. But the Buddha teaches impermanence, not as a punishment, but as a reality of life. Everything changes. The flower blooms, the flower fades. The moon grows full, then wanes. To resist, this is to suffer. To accept it is to find peace. I remember a woman named Margaret, who was once the center of every dance floor. At 75, her knees no longer allowed her to twirl as before. She told me, "I feel betrayed by my own body." But when she began to see her body not as a failed dancer, but as a wise teacher carrying decades of life, something shifted. Instead of mourning the dances she could no longer do, she discovered the quiet joy of moving slowly, of swaying in her living room, of listening to music as her hands traced the rhythm in the air. She realized the body changes, but joy does not vanish. It simply transforms. Buddhism offers us a profound teaching. The body is a house we live in for a time, but it is not who we are. If the walls crack, if the paint fades, does the essence of the home, the warmth, the spirit disappear? No. In the same way, you are not your wrinkles, your arthritis, your fading eyesight. You are the awareness that has witnessed every season of your life. You are the same awareness that once looked out a child's eyes, that once loved passionately, worked diligently, raised children, built dreams. That awareness has not aged. It is still whole, still luminous. And yet, I know it is hard when your back aches in the morning, when climbing stairs feels like mountains, when the world tells you beauty belongs only to the young. It is hard not to resent this body, but resentment only deepens suffering. What if instead we practice gratitude? Gratitude for the legs that carried us for decades, for the hands that cooked meals, held grandchildren, built lives. Gratitude for the heart that still beats, for the lungs that still draw breath. Every line on your face is a story, every scar a testimony, every gray hair a reminder of survival. I invite you now to place your hand gently over your heart. Feel it beating. Do you realize how many years it has worked for you without asking for thanks? In this moment, say quietly, "Thank you." That small act can transform bitterness into reverence. And if this message touches you, take a moment to comment below. What part of your body are you most grateful for today? Perhaps it is your eyes that still see sunsets. Perhaps it is your hands that still prepare meals. Share it, so others may be reminded to thank their own bodies too. And while you're here, please like this video. Every like tells the algorithms that this message matters, that we want more wisdom and less noise in our lives. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you can walk with me through the next truths. We are not done yet. I recall another story of an elderly monk whose body was bent with age. His disciples asked, "Master, does your body not cause you suffering?" The monk smiled and said, "This body is like an old robe. It frays, it tears, but I do not mistake it for myself. I wear it with care until it can no longer be worn, and then I let it go." What profound peace would fill our hearts if we saw our bodies in the same way, not as prisons, but as robes, temporary garments carrying our spirit for a while. So let us be gentle with ourselves. Let us walk slower, rest more, eat with gratitude, move with kindness. Let us honor this body not for what it used to be, but for what it still allows us to do. And when the day comes that it weakens further, we will not curse it. We will bow to it for carrying us all this way. Before we close, let tonight's reflection be this. If my body is not my enemy, how can I treat it with more compassion this week? Can I rest without guilt? Can I walk outside and feel the sun on my skin? Can I nourish myself with gratitude instead of complaint? If this resonates, please share your reflections in the comments. Let's build a circle of honesty and kindness, where we honor our bodies instead of shaming them. And as always, like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder that aging is not defeat, and subscribe so you won't miss Part 5, where we explore how aging teaches us the art of patience and slowing down. Because remember, growing old is not losing beauty, it is exchanging it. The beauty of youth is in bloom. The beauty of age is in endurance, in grace, in quiet wisdom. Both are sacred, both are fleeting, and both remind us to live fully while we can. The fifth truth of aging is this: life is no longer about racing forward. It is about learning the art of slowing down. In our youth, we are pushed to hurry, to finish school, to climb careers, to raise families, to prove ourselves. Every moment is a deadline. Every pause feels like failure. But after 70, the pace of the body changes. The steps slow, the hands tremble, the memory takes longer to retrieve a name. Many elders feel ashamed of this slowness. They apologize for walking too slowly, for needing more time, for not keeping up. But here is the wisdom. What if slowing down is not a weakness, but a gift? What if patience is not something we endure, but something we cultivate? I once met a man named Samuel, who at 82 had to give up driving. At first, he was furious. He said, "I feel trapped. I used to fly down highways, and now I have to wait for buses or ask others for rides." But over time, he discovered something unexpected. Waiting for the bus, he noticed the way the morning light fell on the sidewalk. He spoke with strangers at the stop, shared stories, laughed at small jokes. He told me, "I used to curse the wait. Now the wait is my teacher." Slowing down allowed him to see what rushing had hidden all along. Buddhism reminds us that life is lived in the present moment. But when we rush, we are never truly here. We are always chasing the next task, the next goal, the next milestone. Aging offers us the invitation to finally stop running, to sit, to breathe, to watch a bird on the fence for 10 minutes without guilt, to sip tea slowly, tasting each note, to listen fully when someone speaks, without checking the clock. This is not loss, it is liberation. And yet, I know many of you still struggle. Perhaps your body's slowness frustrates you. Perhaps you feel you are in the way of the young. But let me tell you this, the young need your slowness. They need your presence. They need someone who shows them that life is not only speed, noise, and ambition, that life can also be gentle, unhurried, and deeply alive. When you walk slowly, you are not behind. You are teaching a truth that only age can teach. So I invite you now, take one moment today to do something slowly on purpose. Eat slowly, breathe slowly, walk slowly, and instead of fighting the pace, embrace it. Notice what appears. Then, if you feel moved, comment below. What is one thing that will slow down for this week? Your answer may inspire someone else to release their own rush. And while you're here, please take a moment to like this video. It helps this message reach others who might be trapped in frustration with their aging bodies, not yet seeing the gift of patience. And if you want to continue this journey of wisdom, don't forget to subscribe. Each part builds on the last, and together, we are weaving a tapestry of truths that can transform the way we see aging. I recall the story of an old monk walking with his young disciple. The disciple grew impatient, saying, "Master, why do you walk so slowly? We will never arrive." The master smiled and replied, "We have already arrived. Every step is arrival. This is the essence of patience. Not waiting for some distant destination, but arriving in every moment as it is." Imagine how life would feel if you could release the constant pressure to hurry. Imagine days where nothing is wasted because you are fully present in each breath. That is what patience offers. Freedom from the tyranny of time. So let tonight's reflection be this. What am I rushing toward? And what would happen if I stopped and simply arrived where I am? Write it down. Sit with it. Share it if you like, so we can support each other in learning the art of slowing down. And before we move into the next truth, remember, patience is not passive. It is active attention. It is choosing to live deeply instead of quickly. And this choice is a blessing of age. If this spoke to your heart, like the video, share it with a friend who needs to hear these words. And subscribe so you don't miss part 6, where we will explore another truth, how blessings grow when we live generously, and how giving creates joy that age cannot steal. Because in the end, life is not measured by how fast we move, but by how deeply we live. And aging gives us the perfect chance to live deeper, slower, and truer than ever before. The 6th truth of aging is this: the more we give, the richer we become. At first, this may sound strange. After 70, many people feel they must hold tightly to what they have, money, possessions, even energy, because time feels shorter and resources seem fragile. But Buddhism teaches us a profound paradox. Clinging creates poverty, and giving creates abundance. True wealth is not what we keep. It is the joy we awaken in others. I once met an elderly woman named Sophia, who lived on a modest pension. She could not afford grand gifts, but she baked cookies every week and left small bundles at her neighbors' doors. At first, she said, "It's nothing, just a little sugar and flour." But the smile she received, the warmth that returned, filled her home with a light no money could buy. She told me, "When I give, I never feel old. I feel endless." That is the secret. Generosity does not diminish us. It renews us. In Buddhist tradition, we speak of dana, the practice of giving. Giving without expecting return. Giving not because we have much, but because we have enough. And what we offer need not always be material. A kind word is a gift. A patient ear is a gift. A gentle smile to someone in despair is a gift. Even sharing your stories, your wisdom, your lessons learned, that too is giving. The older we become, the greater the treasure of experience we carry. Why keep it locked away? Why not pour it out like clear water, so the next generation may drink? And here is a truth many discover late in life. Blessings multiply when shared. If you give joy, you receive joy. If you plant kindness, you harvest peace. But if you hoard out of fear, you find yourself lonely, isolated, impoverished in spirit. Which path do you choose? I remember an old monk who lived simply in a forest hut. He owned almost nothing, just a robe, a bowl, a mat. Yet when villagers came, he gave them what little he had: a story, a prayer, a smile, even the fruit he had just picked for himself. People often asked him, "How can you be so generous when you own so little?" He laughed and said, "Because nothing I give was ever mine to begin with. It all flows through me." This is the freedom generosity brings. The understanding that we are not owners, but stewards of the blessings of life. So let me ask you, what do you have right now that you can share? It might not be wealth. It might be time. It might be a phone call to someone who feels forgotten. It might be wisdom to a younger friend who is lost. It might simply be your presence, sitting beside someone in silence. These gifts cost nothing, yet they transform lives. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to pause and share in the comments. What small act of generosity will you practice this week? By naming it, you may inspire someone else to give in their own way. And while you're here, please like this video. Your small gesture helps this teaching reach others, spreading the ripple of generosity even further. And of course, subscribe if you haven't yet, so you can continue walking with us through the next truths. This channel is not just a space for words. It is a circle of giving and receiving, and you are part of it. Generosity does not belong only to the wealthy. Some of the richest givers I have met had the least in terms of possessions, yet they gave freely, and their hearts overflowed. I recall a grandmother who raised her grandchildren in a small, crowded apartment. She had no extra money, but she gave her time, reading them stories, listening to their questions, blessing them with prayers before bed. Those children grew with a sense of being cherished, and that love became their inheritance. Think of your own life. Who has given to you, not with money, but with presence, patience, love? Perhaps a parent, a teacher, a friend. Their gift lives in you still. Now, in your later years, you have the chance to pass that blessing forward. So let tonight's reflection be this. What blessing have I received in life, and how can I pass it on? Write it down. Share it below if you feel moved. Let us remind each other that aging is not just about receiving care. It is about continuing to give in ways that ripple far beyond our years. Before we close, remember, when your hands open to give, your heart opens to receive. When your heart opens, loneliness dissolves and joy flows in. This is not theory. This is a lived truth of those who practice generosity every day. And as always, if this touched you, like the video, share with someone who could use a reminder of the power of giving. And subscribe so you don't miss part 7, where we will explore how to face fear of death with courage, turning the unknown into a friend instead of an enemy. Because in the end, generosity is not about what you leave behind in possessions. It is about what you leave behind in hearts. And that, my friends, is a wealth that time cannot take away. Part 7, Facing Death with Courage and Peace. The 7th truth of aging is this. Death is not the enemy. For much of our lives, we are taught to fear it, to avoid speaking of it, to pretend that it only happens to others. But as the years pass, as hair turns silver and footsteps slow, we can no longer ignore the reality. Death is part of life. The body that carried us faithfully for decades will one day rest. The people we love will pass. And one day, so will we. Yet Buddhism teaches us something profound. Death is not to be feared but understood. It is not a wall at the end of the road. It is a doorway into another form of existence. Many elders live with quiet dread. They lie awake at night, listening to the silence, worrying about when the last breath will come. Some try to distract themselves with endless entertainment or cling desperately to youth, hoping to escape the inevitable. But fear only steals the present moment. Courage transforms it. To live well is to prepare for death, not in despair, but in peace, with the same grace we prepare for sleep at the end of a long day. I once met a man named Thomas, who was 87 when I visited him at a hospice home. He told me, I used to be terrified of dying. I thought it was darkness, nothingness, the end. But now, as I sit here, I feel differently. I see my life like a book. The chapters were filled with joy and sorrow, mistakes and triumphs. The book is ending, yes, but that doesn't erase the story. The story remains. His word stayed with me. Death does not erase life. It completes it, just as the setting sun does not destroy the day, but fulfills it. Buddhism offers many images for death. One is the candle flame. When a candle burns out, where does the flame go? It does not vanish into nothing. It returns to the vastness from which it arose. Another image is the wave. The wave rises, dances across the sea, and then falls back into the ocean. The wave is gone, but the water remains. In the same way, we too will return. What we call death is simply the wave settling back into the sea of life. But how do we meet death without fear? The answer lies in practice, living each day as though it were complete in itself. When we forgive, when we love openly, when we let go of resentment, then death cannot rob us of anything, because nothing is left unfinished. The Buddha once said, "The wise live as if the fire of death were burning at their feet." This is not a call to panic, but a reminder. Do not delay in living. Do not wait to love. Do not postpone peace. I remember another story of a grandmother named Mei Ling, who was diagnosed with a terminal illness. At first, she cried every day, asking, "Why me?" But over time, she began to approach death differently. She invited her children and grandchildren to sit with her and tell stories. She gave away her jewelry and keepsakes while she was still alive, saying, "I want to see your joy now." She even planted flowers in her garden, knowing she might not see them bloom. "But you will," she told her granddaughter. And when the day of her passing came, she smiled, whispered blessings, and left with peace. This is a gift of courage. To turn fear into tenderness, to face death not as an enemy, but as an old friend who has walked with us all along. Because death has always been there. When autumn leaves fall, when loved ones depart, when each day ends. To deny death is to deny life. To embrace death is to embrace everything. And so I ask you, what is your greatest fear about death? Is it pain? Is it the unknown? Is it leaving loved ones behind? Write it down. Face it honestly. And then ask yourself, how can I meet that fear with compassion? Perhaps by speaking more openly with your family. Perhaps by making peace with regrets. Perhaps by living more fully now, so that when the time comes you can say, "I have lived." If you feel moved, share your reflections in the comments. You never know. Your words may bring courage to someone else who is silently afraid. And as always, if this message resonates, please like this video. Your small act of generosity allows this teaching to travel farther, reaching hearts that may need it tonight. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you can continue walking with me through the remaining truths. Together, we are building a circle where aging, living, and dying are not separate. They are one continuous journey. Death, when faced with courage, can even become a teacher. It reminds us to cherish each day, to hold hands a little longer, to say the words, "I love you" more often, to waste less time on anger and more time on gratitude. When we keep death close in our awareness, life becomes sharper, richer, more precious. Each sunrise is no longer ordinary. It is a miracle. Each laugh with a friend is no longer small. It is sacred. So let tonight's meditation be this. If today were my last day, would I be ready? What unfinished business would I release? What love would I express? What peace would I claim? Sit with these questions not in fear, but in honesty. Let them guide how you live tomorrow. Because to prepare for death is not to stop living. It is to begin living more deeply. And remember, when the time comes, none of us carries possessions, titles, or wealth. What remains is love, kindness, and the lives we have touched. That is our true legacy. That is what outlives the body. As we close part 7, let me invite you once more. Like this video, if it has stirred something in your heart, share it with someone who fears death and may need comfort. And subscribe so you do not miss part 8, where we will reflect on the final truth, how acceptance ties all the teachings together into a life of wholeness and grace. Because in the end, death is not the end. It is simply the return home. And if we walk toward it with courage, we will not go in darkness, but in light, surrounded by the peace we have cultivated throughout our years. We have now walked through the truths of aging, one by one, uncovering lessons of impermanence, compassion, letting go, and courage. And now, as we arrive at the final stage of this journey, we discover the heart of it all, acceptance. Acceptance is not resignation, nor is it passive surrender. It is not saying, there is nothing I can do. Rather, acceptance is a clear-eyed recognition of reality, embraced with peace and love. It is a wisdom to stop resisting what cannot be changed and instead flow with the current of life, like a river returning to the sea. For many, acceptance feels like defeat. We live in a culture that prizes control, that tells us to fight against time, to resist wrinkles, to cling to youth. But what if victory is not in resistance, but in release? What if the real triumph is not in holding tightly, but in opening our hands? Acceptance is freedom. It is a gentle smile that says, this too is life. This too belongs. I once met an old woman named Asha in a small mountain village. Her body was frail, her eyesight nearly gone, and yet she radiated joy. She told me, when I was younger, I fought everything, my husband's death, my children moving away, even the aches in my bones. I thought life was unfair. But then one morning, I woke up and realized, this is it. This is the life I have. Why spend it fighting? Better to spend it loving. That shift from resistance to acceptance transformed her last years into the happiest of her life. This is what Buddhism teaches. Suffering arises not from what happens to us, but from our refusal to accept it. The wrinkle is not suffering. Our hatred of the wrinkle is. The illness is not suffering. Our resistance to illness is. Death is not suffering. Our fear of death is. Acceptance dissolves this extra layer of pain, leaving only what is pure and simple. Think of a river. Place a stone in its path, and the water does not stop. It flows around, over, beneath. Acceptance is like water. It adapts, it continues, it never clings. To accept aging is not to deny sadness or loss, but to allow them to exist alongside joy. To accept death is not to celebrate it, but to honor it as part of the great circle. Acceptance brings wholeness, because it makes nothing an enemy. But how do we practice acceptance in our own lives? It begins with awareness. When pain arises, instead of saying, this should not be, we can breathe and say, this is here. When change arrives, instead of asking, why me? We can whisper, this too belongs. Over time, this practice softens the heart. It opens space where once there was resistance. I remember a story from a hospice worker who said that the most peaceful deaths she witnessed were not from people who were pain-free, nor from those who had achieved great success, but from those who had practiced acceptance. They said goodbye with love. They left without clinging. They smiled through tears because they had made peace with reality. And this peace was contagious. Families left lighter, comforted, inspired. Acceptance is not just for the end of life. It is for every moment. To accept our bodies as they are today. To accept the loved ones who may never change in the way we want them to. To accept mistakes from the past and release their grip on the present. To accept the mystery of the future without needing to control it. Each act of acceptance brings us closer to wholeness. And perhaps the greatest gift of acceptance is gratitude. When we stop fighting reality, we can finally see its beauty. The lines on our face become proof that we have lived, laughed, cried. The losses we endured remind us of the depth of our love. Even death, when accepted, becomes a reminder of how precious each day truly is. Acceptance does not strip life of meaning. It reveals it. So let me ask you, what in your life right now do you resist most? Is it your body, your past, your aging parents, a change you cannot control? Imagine what would happen if just for today you stopped fighting and said, yes, this too. How would your heart feel? How much energy would be freed? If you feel comfortable, share your reflection in the comments. Your words may be the medicine someone else needs today. And if this teaching resonates with you, please take a moment to like this video. It is a small act, but it helps spread this wisdom to others. If you know someone struggling with resistance, someone fighting life instead of flowing with it, share this with them. And of course, if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel so we can continue walking this path together. Because this series may be ending, but the journey never does. Aging, loss, courage, acceptance. They are not lessons we finish once, but practices we return to every day. Each time we breathe, each time we forgive, each time we let go, we are practicing wholeness. Let us end with this meditation. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and place your hand on your heart. Whisper to yourself, I accept. Say it with each breath. I accept the past. I accept this body. I accept the future. I accept life. I accept death. Feel the peace that arises when nothing is rejected, when everything belongs. That peace is the essence of wholeness. That peace is freedom. And so, dear friends, as we close Part 8, I want to thank you. Thank you for listening, for walking through these truths with me, for opening your heart to wisdom that is as old as the Buddha and as fresh as this moment. Remember, you are not broken. You are whole. Every wrinkle, every scar, every tear, every laugh, they are all part of your completeness. As we part here, may you carry this truth. Acceptance is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of freedom. To accept life fully is to live fully. To accept death peacefully is to die peacefully. And to accept yourself completely is to discover that you were whole all along. If these words have touched you, please like, share, and subscribe. Let this circle of wisdom grow wider until no one walks through aging, loss, or death alone. Together, let us live with acceptance. Together, let us live in wholeness. We have traveled far together through aging, loss, impermanence, compassion, courage, and acceptance. And now, in this final reflection, we face the most important question of all. How do we carry these truths into daily life? Wisdom is not meant to live only in books or on a meditation cushion or in late-night conversations. Wisdom must be lived, breathed, and practiced in ordinary moments because life itself is a true temple. The Buddha never asked us to escape the world. He asked us to see it clearly, to walk through it with awareness, and to meet each experience with presence. And so the question is not, what have I learned, but how will I live? Imagine this. You wake in the morning. The body feels stiff, perhaps slower than it once was. In the past, you may have grumbled, resisted, wished to be younger. But now, with wisdom, you place a hand on your chest and whisper, thank you, body, for carrying me another day. This simple act of gratitude transforms a moment. This is daily practice. Or picture a loved one saying something that hurts you. Before, you might have snapped back, clung to anger, carried resentment. But now, remembering compassion, you pause. You breathe. You ask yourself, what pain in them made these words arise? Instead of responding with fire, you answer with patience. This is daily practice. Even when loss comes, when someone we love falls ill or departs, we remember impermanence. We cry, yes, but without despair. We grieve, but without bitterness. Because we know that love does not end at death. It changes form. To sit quietly with sorrow, to hold both tears and gratitude in the same heart. That too is daily practice. One of my teachers once told me, enlightenment is not about floating above the clouds. It's about how you wash the dishes. At first I laughed, but over time I understood. To be present in the smallest acts, eating, walking, speaking. This is the path. When you sip tea, can you taste a miracle of warm water, the sunlight capturing the leaves, the hand that picked and dried them? When you listen to a child laugh, can you hear in it the timeless echo of joy that has rippled through humanity for generations? When you watch the sunset, can you see in its fading light the reminder of your own mortality and feel peace instead of fear? Living the truths every day means shifting from resistance to presence, from clinging to letting go, from fear to love. And this shift does not require grand gestures. It requires small, consistent choices, a breath taken with awareness, a smile offered to a stranger, a moment of silence before reacting in anger. These are the bricks of a wise life. And let me say this, you will stumble, you will forget, you will return to old habits of fear and resistance. That is natural. Do not punish yourself. The path is not about perfection. It is about return. Each time you notice you have drifted, you come back. Each time you forget, you remember again. This too is practice. Think of the ocean. Waves rise, fall, and rise again. So too will you rise and fall. But beneath the waves, the ocean is vast, still, and whole. That depth is your true nature. You do not lose it when the waves are rough. You only need to remember it. So I invite you now, reflect on one truth from this series that has touched you most. Was it impermanence? Was it letting go? Was it acceptance? Write it down. And then ask yourself, how will I practice this truth tomorrow in a small, concrete way? Perhaps by forgiving someone. Perhaps by sitting 5 minutes in silence. Perhaps by calling a loved one just to say, I appreciate you. If you feel moved, share your intention in the comments. Your practice may inspire another soul who is walking the same path. And if these reflections have nourished you, please like this video. It helps others find this circle of wisdom. Share it with someone who may be struggling with aging, with grief, with fear, so they too can find comfort and courage. And if you wish to continue this journey with me, subscribe to this channel. Together, we are not just listening to teachings. We are building a living community of practice. Because here is the truth. You do not walk alone. Every person who has listened to these words, every person who has sat in silence, every person who has breathed with awareness, they walk beside you. We are all students of impermanence. We are all learning to let go. We are all practicing courage. We are all moving toward acceptance. And in this shared practice, there is great strength. As this final part closes, let us meditate together. Breathe in, feel the gift of life. Breathe out, release all resistance. Breathe in, whisper, I am whole. Breathe out, whisper, all is well. Stay here in this stillness, even as the video ends. Because the teachings are not in the words. They are in your own breath, your own heart, your own daily life. So, dear friends, thank you for walking with me through these truths. May you live with presence. May you age with grace. May you face death with courage. May you accept all that comes with peace. And may you discover, in the very ordinariness of daily life, the extraordinary truth that you were whole all along. If this series has touched your heart, let it not end here. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, live it, because wisdom does not live in videos or books. It lives in you. And every breath, every step, every act of kindness is a chance to embody it. This is part 9. But the real part 10, the continuation, begins now in your own life. And so, dear friends, we have reached the end of this journey together. We began with the uncertainties of aging, the fears of impermanence, the ache of letting go. We walked through compassion, courage, death, and finally, acceptance. And now, as we stand here to close, it is time to gather all these truths into one whole and ask, what have we truly learned? Perhaps it is this, that life is not something to conquer, but something to embrace. That aging is not a curse, but a teacher. That death is not the enemy, but a doorway. That each wrinkle, each loss, each change is not a sign of weakness, but a reminder of the great beauty of impermanence. Nothing stays, and because nothing stays, everything is precious. If there's one lesson I hope you carry with you, it is this: do not wait. Do not wait to forgive. Do not wait to love. Do not wait to live. The perfect moment will never come, because the perfect moment is always here, in this breath, in this step, in this heartbeat. The Buddha taught us that clinging to the past and grasping for the future blinds us to the miracle of now. To live fully is to awaken to this moment again and again. I have shared stories of those who faced aging with grace, those who welcomed death with courage, those who found peace through letting go. But the real story is yours. You are the wave rising and falling. You are the flame that shines for a time, then returns to the vastness. You are the river flowing steadily toward the sea. And in your journey, your joys, your tears, your beginnings and endings, you are discovering wisdom. So, as this series closes, I invite you to pause, breathe deeply, place a hand on your heart, whisper to yourself, I am whole, I am enough, I am ready. Because everything you need to face life, to face death, to face yourself, it is already within you. These teachings are not foreign. They are your own deepest knowing, waiting to be remembered. And yet, remembering is easier when we walk together. That is why I have created this circle. These words are not meant to be heard once and forgotten. They are seeds, and seeds grow when they are watered. Every time you listen, every time you reflect, every time you practice even a little kindness or awareness, you water these seeds. Slowly, patiently, they become the tree that shades you, the fruit that nourishes you, the roots that hold you steady. This is why I ask you, if these words have touched you, do not keep them to yourself. Like this video. It may seem small, but it tells the world, this message matters. Share it with someone who is afraid of aging, someone who is grieving, someone who lies awake at night fearing death. You never know. The right words at the right time can change a life. And subscribe, not just to follow more content, but to be part of a living community that refuses to walk this path alone. Together, we can create a space where wisdom flows freely, where no one feels abandoned in their struggles, where each person is reminded of their wholeness. So let this be our vow, that we will live the truths we have heard. Not perfectly, not without stumbling, but sincerely. When we forget, we will return. When we resist, we will soften. When we fall, we will rise again. Because the path is not about reaching a destination. It is about walking with presence. And if you wonder, what now? What comes after the series? The answer is simple: life itself. The teachings do not end here. They live in every sunrise, in every goodbye, in every act of kindness, in every silent breath. Each moment is another chance to practice. Each moment is another chance to be free. So let me leave you with this meditation. Sit quietly for a moment. Close your eyes. Breathe in slowly and feel the gift of life entering you. Breathe out and release all clinging. With each breath in, whisper, I welcome life. With each breath out, whisper, I release fear. Continue until you feel the stillness. The stillness has always been there beneath your thoughts, beneath your fears, beneath your aging body. That stillness is who you truly are. It does not age. It does not die. It is whole. And so, with gratitude, I bow to you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for walking this journey. Thank you for bringing your open heart. May you live with courage. May you age with grace. May you face death with peace. May you accept life in its fullness. And above all, may you remember always that you are whole. If these words have touched you, I invite you now one last time. Like this video, leave a comment sharing what lesson has stayed with you most, and subscribe so that this circle continues. Let's grow this community of wisdom, compassion, and presence together, because though this series ends, the real journey begins now. In your next breath, in your next step, in the life you live, carry the truths with you, and let your life itself become the teaching. And with that, we close. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free.